Here is the most surprising thing that decades of working with couples has made undeniably clear. Most men believe they understand what women want, and most men have it wrong. Not because they are bad partners, not because they do not care, but because no one ever actually laid it out for them in plain terms. There is no guidebook for this. Nobody taught you. And to make it more complicated, most women never say it out loud, even when they feel the need for it deeply and constantly. After more than 20 years sitting across from couples at every stage of life, young marriages, long marriages, relationships that felt like they had quietly gone cold, the same pattern appears over and over. Men who genuinely wanted to reach their partner. Men who would have done anything if only someone had told them what anything actually looked like. Today, that changes. What follows are 7 specific places on a woman's body that go far beyond the physical. Places that, when touched with real care and intention, unlock something emotional and deep. And most of you will be surprised because not one of these 7 is what you are probably expecting. Before getting into them, there is something you need to understand first. The female brain does not separate physical touch from emotional meaning. For a woman, especially one in her 40s, 50s, or 60s, touch is never just touch. Every time you reach out and make contact, her nervous system is quietly asking a question. Is this safe? Does he actually see me? Does he care about me right now? If the answer her body arrives at is yes, she relaxes. She opens, she moves toward you. If the answer is no, or even just uncertain, she pulls back. Not because she has stopped loving you, but because her nervous system is doing exactly what it was built to do: protect her emotional self before anything else. A client, a woman in her late 50s who had been married for over 3 decades, said something that has stayed for years. She said she did not need her husband to be perfect. She just needed him to slow down long enough to actually feel her, not just touch her, but feel her. That one sentence holds the entire lesson. So let us go through all 7. The first is the back of the neck, right at the base of the hairline where the hair begins. This is one of the most overlooked areas on a woman's body. Most men move past it without a second thought. But this is where tension lives. This is where the stress of a long day, carrying work, family, worry, all of it, quietly settles. When a woman is disconnected or overwhelmed, that weight pulls into this spot. The response it needs is not aggressive and not remedial. Just 2 or 3 fingertips moving slowly, applying no pressure, simply offering warmth and presence. When you do this, something shifts chemically. Her nervous system begins to ease. Her breathing slows. The stress hormone cortisol starts to recede. And in its place, oxytocin, the hormone most associated with bonding and trust, begins to rise. She may not say anything. She may simply go quiet or lean slightly into your hand. That stillness is not absence. That is her body saying yes. The second is the soft skin between the shoulder blades. Think of this area as the place where she carries what she cannot put down. It is the part of her back she cannot easily reach herself, and it is the place where emotional guardedness tends to settle in the body. When a woman has built walls, consciously or otherwise, this is often where those walls live physically. What is called for here is not a massage. It is something far simpler and, in its simplicity, far more powerful. Just placing one hand there, flat, warm, completely still, with no pressure and no agenda. That single gesture communicates something that words frequently cannot. I have you. I am here. You do not have to carry this by yourself. There is a story of a couple, both in their early 60s, retired, sharing the same house every day, and somehow feeling entirely distant from each other. The husband began doing one thing each evening, walking up behind his wife while she stood in the kitchen after dinner and resting his hand between her shoulder blades. No words, just presence. Within 3 weeks, she said she did not know what he was doing differently, but it felt like he was actually there again. That is the power held in that one spot. The third is the hands, specifically the fingers and the palm. Before you move past this one, hear it fully. There is a meaningful difference between grabbing someone's hand and genuinely holding it. There is a difference between a quick squeeze and slowly tracing your thumb across her palm. A woman's hands are deeply tied to her emotional world. They are how she gives, how she creates, how she expresses care for the people she loves. When you hold them with real attention, she feels understood in a way that reaches somewhere beneath words. Try this the next time you are sitting together, whether you are watching something, sharing a meal, or simply in the same room. Take her hand, and instead of just holding it passively, use your thumb to move slowly along her fingers one at a time, or trace small, unhurried circles across her palm. No destination, no rush. Research has shown that this kind of slow, deliberate contact on the hands activates the same neural pathways as direct emotional affirmation. In plain language, holding her hand with genuine attention tells her she matters, without you having to say a single word. The fourth is the small hollow just beneath the jawline, directly behind the ear. This one surprises almost everyone. It is not an area most men ever think about. It is easy to overlook, subtle, easy to miss entirely, and that is precisely what makes it so significant. This spot is extraordinarily sensitive, packed with nerve endings, but it is also a place that only gets touched when there is real closeness. Reaching it requires you to be near her, present, focused entirely on her, not on where the moment might be heading. When you are sitting close and you gently brush your fingertips along this area, no pressure, just warmth, you are doing two things simultaneously. You are sending a wave of physical calm through her body, and you are delivering an emotional signal that says, I notice the small things about you. I am paying attention to you specifically. Women experience this differently from almost any other form of touch. It does not feel intrusive or goal-oriented. It feels like being genuinely seen. And being truly seen is one of the deepest needs a woman carries in a long-term relationship. One important note, if she does not lean into it straight away, do not push. This particular spot requires trust. If trust is still being rebuilt between you, be patient. As your presence becomes more consistent over time, she will. The fifth is the inner thigh near the knee, and the placement here matters enormously. This is the soft skin on the inside of the leg, close to the knee, nowhere near any intimate area, with no suggestion of heading anywhere else. This area carries considerable emotional weight for women, often without them being consciously aware of it. A respectful, unhurried touch here communicates something very particular. Closeness without pressure, desire without demand. The key is pace, slow even, as though you have nowhere else to be and nothing else on your mind. As though this moment is entirely complete in itself. Women have described this kind of touch, when given with patience and genuine respect, as feeling more intimate than anything their partner had done in years, because of what it said without words. I want to be near you. I am not rushing you. I am simply here. In a long relationship, particularly as the years accumulate, that message can feel like relief. The sixth is the lower back, that hollow between the waist and the hips. The lower back is the physical center of a woman's body. It supports everything she carries, and in most relationships, it goes almost entirely untouched. When you place your hand gently on a woman's lower back, particularly when you are standing behind her, your chest close to her back, something notable happens neurologically. The brain reads that position as protection, as steadiness, as someone saying without a single word that they are behind her, literally and in every other sense. This is not about control. It is about the kind of containment that makes someone feel safe enough to release their guard. Think about the last time you stood close behind your partner and simply rested your hand on her lower back, going nowhere, doing nothing, just being there. If you cannot remember the last time that happened, that is worth sitting with. Try it this week, not as a technique, as a genuine expression of presence. Stand close, place your hand there, breathe, let her feel that you are in no hurry, that simply being near her is enough for you in this moment. The seventh is the most unexpected one, and it is not what most men would guess. It is the lower abdomen, the area around and just below the navel. This is the most emotionally significant area on a woman's body, and it is the one most consistently overlooked. Men tend to either skip past it entirely or touch it only in a way that signals they are headed somewhere else. Both of those are missed opportunities. The lower abdomen is where a woman holds her deepest sense of self. There is real neuroscience behind this. The region contains a dense concentration of vagal nerve connections, meaning it is directly wired into the body's emotional regulation system. When this area is touched with genuine care and complete unhurriedness, it does not simply feel physical. It feels like being held at the very center of who she is. The way to approach this spot is the way you would handle something irreplaceable, not with urgency, not with grasping, but with both hands, moving slowly, with full attention. A warm hand placed gently on her lower abdomen, with zero rush behind it, communicates something that words rarely manage to convey. I trust you with all of me, and I hope you trust me with all of you. When a woman feels that, her whole body responds, not because of skill or technique, but because of truth. So, 7 places: the back of the neck, the space between the shoulder blades, the hands, the hollow behind the ear, the inner thigh near the knee, the lower back, and the lower abdomen. None of these are complicated. None require anything you do not already have. But the honest reality is that most of you are not using them, not with the slowness and the intention they deserve. Here is why that matters. As relationships grow longer, something quietly tends to happen. We stop reaching out, not because love has faded, but because routine takes over. Because we assume our partner already knows. Because we are tired or distracted or have simply stopped noticing that the small gestures are actually the large ones. But women feel that absence. They feel it in their bodies before they feel it in their minds. They wake up one day and realize they feel lonely, not because their partner is gone, but because their partner stopped touching them with intention, stopped noticing them, stopped speaking through the language of physical presence. There is a man in his late 60s who came in convinced his relationship had simply run out of road. He thought this was just what happened to long marriages eventually. The question put to him was simple. When is the last time you touched her without wanting anything in return? He thought about it for a long time. Then he said he could not remember. That was the whole answer. He went home and started small, just a hand resting on the back of her neck while she was reading. No words, no agenda. She looked up at him, and for the first time in a long time, she smiled at him the way she used to. 2 months later, he came back and said she had told him she felt like he had come back to her. And he said, "Honestly, I think I have." That is not a trick. That is simply what consistent, intentional, respectful physical presence can do. The problem in most long-term relationships is not a lack of love. It is a lack of language, not spoken language, the language of touch. Slow, unhurried, genuine contact that says, "I see you, I am here, you matter to me." Women, particularly in midlife and beyond, do not respond to urgency. They respond to attention. They respond to being noticed in the details. They respond to a hand that moves as though it has all the time in the world, because being close to her is the destination, not a step towards somewhere else. Research consistently shows, and this has been reflected in practice over and over, that women have significantly more sensitive skin nerve receptors than men, particularly in the areas covered here: the neck, behind the ear, the fingers, the lower abdomen. These are not just physically responsive zones. They are emotionally wired. Touch in these areas triggers oxytocin release, yes, but more than that, it generates a felt sense of safety. And safety is the foundation that everything else in intimacy is built on. Studies looking at long-term couples have found that those who maintained regular non-sexual physical contact, the kind that was not heading anywhere, just present and caring, consistently reported higher emotional connection and relationship satisfaction, even when other areas of the relationship carried challenges. The couples who had lost that kind of contact consistently described feeling like they were living with a stranger. Do not become a stranger to the person you love. Start small. Tonight, if she is nearby, walk over and place your hand on the back of her neck. Say nothing. Expect nothing. Just let your hand be warm and still, and see what happens. Tomorrow, try her lower back. or take her hand and hold it slowly, deliberately, like you mean it. These are not techniques. They are expressions of care, and she will feel the difference between the two immediately. Women always do. The warmth in your hands can sometimes reach places that 1,000 well-meaning words cannot. A touch that carries no agenda, that asks for nothing, that simply says, I am here and you are the reason. That kind of touch has the power to bring someone back to you, to bring you back to each other. It is never too late to begin. Couples well into their 70s have transformed what they share through shifts this simple. Women who had emotionally stepped back have leaned back in. Men who were certain they had run out of time discovered they had not come close. The fact that you are here, taking this in, already says something. You want to do better. You want to understand. You want what you have to feel alive again. It can. It will. If you are willing to slow down, show up, and let your hands say what your words sometimes cannot reach. If any part of this stayed with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and tell us in the comments which of these 7 you plan to try first.